So, 3 Days Grace. I first got into 3 Days Grace when I was like 13, maybe 14. Um, they were always kind of a secondhand band for me. They were never my favorite. Um, but when I first heard I Hate Everything About You, I was like, alright, maybe I'll check them out. This album's probably their darkest, their edgiest, their angstiest. Um, and it's also, in my opinion, probably their best, which isn't really saying much, but it's still probably their best. Emotionally, it's edgy, it's angsty. It has that I don't want to be here vibe, that sort of stop trying to control me vibe. Um, that sort of feeling like you don't have control vibe. It's kind of like I said in the Linkin Park review. It's very teen coded. Best tracks are I Hate Everything About You. Like I feel like even today you can still appreciate that whole. Home was another one that I liked a lot, even though I don't like it anymore these days. I did at the time. It had a decent enough chorus, and the instrumentals were good. Something I still appreciate about that track, though, when I think about it, is that they just have an instrumental bridge. They don't overdo it, and they kind of let that speak for themselves. Wake Up's also a better song when I think about it. And I think 3 Days Grace actually tends to be a bit stronger when they lean into their more vulnerable songs like that, but for whatever reason, they tend to want to put up a front and stay away from those types of tracks. The worst tracks on this album were easily like Born Like This, which is a very generic sounding track from a very generic sounding band on a very generic sounding album. Um, it never does anything interesting. It's very by the numbers. Burn is also not very interesting. And also to be the first track too, you want to open with something a little stronger than that. I think that really waters it down. Uh, they would have had better luck opening with Just Like You or I Hate Everything About You. It's a song that's over 4 minutes long, and the chords just feel repetitive. Um, it kind of feels like it's never going anywhere. I mean, the chords aren't the only issue. The lyrics are just kind of repetitive and generally just not very creative. They're nothing special, we'll put it that way. The production's fine. It's nothing special. It's a generic post grunge band, Nirvana ripoff, sort of like one of the Shinedowns, the Seethers, those types of bands. And I'll get to those too eventually. I'm starting off with the earliest bands I listened to, and I'm working my way towards what I listen to these days. So, in terms of consistency, it is pretty consistent. For the average listener, there will be tracks you like, tracks you don't like. For someone who's more critical, you might not like it. Um, you might like a song or two. Um, I still listen to I Hate Everything About You. I think that's a good track. Um, Consistency and production are really what it has going for it because there's not much else that stands out. And even then, the production isn't anything special. Like I said, it's just another Nirvana ripoff. In terms of what fails, the lyrics they're not too deep. They're pretty universally felt, especially for anyone who's ever hit the age of 12 or above. Adam Gontier writes about feeling bad, um, but then he never really goes further than that. He kind of touches on it with I Hate Everything About You and Wake Up, but then, like I said earlier, he never really goes much deeper than that. He touches on those relationship aspects, but he never he never digs into why he feels bad. You're just supposed to kind of go with it. You know he's mad, you know he's angry, you know that he's frustrated, but why is he frustrated? He doesn't get very personal on this album. You can make music with impersonal lyrics, but you at least have to be a little more creative with your lyricism to get away with it, I feel like. In terms of moments that stood out for me on this album, I Hate Everything About You is honestly still a solid track to me. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I honestly, of all the albums I listened to with 3 Days Grace, that's the only track that still stands out to me. I don't know if it's just because it got me hooked on them at the time. I don't know if it's actually a decent track, if it's just nostalgia. That's easily a highlight. If I were younger, I'd put Home and Overrated in there too, but those don't really do anything for me anymore. Feeling a light F tier on this one. If you like other 2000s bands, 2000s artists, next video I'm gonna be doing Sick Puppies. So yeah, stay tuned for that.